Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Humpday.
Woo-hoo!
Who is right? We made it to another Wednesday Hump Day edition of the Golf Show with James Stammer.
Yeah, we made it through another week, folks.
Yes.
We be here.
Yes, indeed. Wow.
Another week. Man, they go by pretty quick.
Yes.
You get to our age, it seems like it was yesterday. Oh, well.
Yeah, I know.
What are you going to do?
I know. I was over at my son's house last night visiting with him briefly, and how he came across it, but there was a newspaper article that was written back in 71.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, and my dad, in his infinite wisdom, said, so they came to write the article about my dad's paint store in Utica, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad ducked out. He says, Frank, you have them they needed a picture for the newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, So there's
it's
a picture.
Early in the day.
Right? So I happened to be at the shop. I guess that was whatever day of the week that was. And, so they took a picture of me and posing with a pyramid of paint cans, right? Well, what'd you figure at a paint store? And anyways, so there it is. And then my son's got that article and with my mug on it. And so he goes, wow, look at this. Who's this guy? I go,
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
But it seemed like I remember that moment in time, 1971 to now, like it was,
That seems like a few months ago or a few years ago, not 40 some years ago.
Like it just happened. Yeah. It's
wow.
Like, wow.
Hey?
Who is that young guy in there?
Who's that kid? Who's that snot-nosed kid in the corner?
Right?
Oh, man.
I love it. But that's great stuff. And it's kind of neat. My son keeps that handy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if any of you played golf over the Labor Day weekend, and you went to one of the participating courses in the Patriot Golf Day,
okay,
your part of your greens fee went towards the Patriot Golf Foundation, which basically provides scholarships for children who lost a parent serving in war.
Okay.
This whole thing was founded quite a few years ago by a gentleman that we've had on the radio a couple of times, Major Dan Rooney.
Okay, sure.
We had him on one time. He had to cancel out one week when we were supposed to have him on many years ago because he had a mission to fly, so he couldn't exactly call in.
Right.
But he wound up calling. He called in a couple of weeks later, and nice. Mike was with us at the time, and Mike wanted to know just how many bombs did you drop on those clowns over there? What did you do? He's
classified, right?
Yeah. He said, well, I really can't say, but Major Dan Rooney is he's the founding member and owner of the Patriot Golf Club in Owasso, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Which he founded 10 years ago. He has served 3 tours in Iraq, flying his F-16s. He is currently one of the aggressor pilots in the Air Force Reserves, which means basically he spends 1 week every month out at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida and instructs other pilots on how to hone their combat skills.
Right.
So basically he's what was the guy in
Top Gun?
Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the older guy that was in there that was basically showed them the young hot bucks weren't quite so hot. Yeah, that's his job now. Nice. That's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
I founded the Folds of Honor Foundation, which, like I said, creates scholarships for spouses and children of military personnel killed or seriously injured in the line of duty. They have raised, since they launched this thing a dozen years ago, $130 million.
Good night, Irene. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Now, I mentioned this, partly because, we just had this event. They run it every year over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And on October 1st, he will become Colonel Dan Rooney. He's getting
another ribbon to add to his wings.
Exactly.
All right.
He's getting a promotion.
Nice.
He is going to be the world's only PGA professional / F-16
pilot.
USAF pilot.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is a great distinction. Maybe we can get him to come on the radio with us one more time.
I have his contact information. He's a little busy right now. I tried getting a hold of him, but he was roaming around doing a lot to promote that. Event.
So.
He's been around quite a bit. I follow him on Instagram, and it's pretty neat. He shows some of his pilot stuff going on, and it's pretty cool. So if you were one of the many that participated in that, know that your donation for the Folds of Honor Foundation through the Patriot Golf Day is going to a very, very good cause. Cool. So if you played golf that weekend, thank you.
Yes.
On behalf of Major, soon to be Colonel Dan Rooney, and all the spouses and children that benefit from that charity. So
very cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes.
He's a pretty neat guy. I have yet to meet him in person, but every time I've spoken to him or emailed back and forth with him, he's got an interesting life. I'll tell you.
I guess so.
Think about it. How many of us when we were little would man, I would love to be able to fly a jet.
Oh yeah. And an F-16 no less. I mean, those are that's a pretty nice piece of equipment.
That's a nice piece of equipment.
You bet.
And you think about it. And not only does he get to fly jet, he's also a PGA professional. So he's pretty darn good at the game of golf too. It's like, man, you got the best of both worlds, right? As far as I think. Yeah.
So if he hits his target with his F-16, it's like a hole in one.
I guess. A very big hole.
Yikes.
You go from dropping a 500-pound laser guided bomb in a window to hitting a 150-yard 8-iron.
Nice.
How come you can hit the target? I mean, isn't it further away in your plane than it is? And you ought to be able to get them really close.
Yeah. It's a chip shot from here.
I guess if the golf ball was laser guided, he'd probably have a little better success. But yeah,
that's great.
Pretty neat. So
good for him.
Glad to hear he's getting a promotion. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My ex-father-in-law, who is since passed away. He retired as a lieutenant colonel. He didn't want to wait. He said he was going to have to wait too long to become a colonel, and he wanted a
full bird colonel. Yeah.
He wanted to get his retirement in. So
yeah.
And I guess the way a lot of that works, you got to wait for people higher up to, because they only have so many of those guys. So.
Yeah.
Colonel, full bird colonel for a pilot. That's what he needed. He needed the wings, not just the two. What is it? The bars that you get for lieutenant colonel. So,
that is just so cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, we had the Solheim Cup this past weekend. It was played over in Scotland, and Suzanne Peterson was the hero for the European team.
Okay.
The European team won 14.5 to 13.5. So it was close.
Yeah.
It was a nail biter. She won the clinching match with a 6-foot birdie putt on the final green of her singles match. They played in Glen Eagles over in Scotland. 38-year-old Norwegian. She's been a bit of a villain, I guess. She was kind of the villain there for a little while. Back in 2015. What happened here? Oh, back in 2015, she had a role in what they called a concession controversy. She conceded. I believe it was a hole, but not a lot of people were happy with the way that whole thing. The whole thing wound up. She did take. It's interesting. I mean, she was one of the captain's picks for this event. Right. She had taken time off for maternity leave, and she didn't pick up a club until a couple months before these matches. So she was kind of a reach
Yeah.
to pick her, but wound up
Being a good call, I
it
guess.
wound up being a pretty good call.
Wow. That's amazing. So I guess
Yeah.
she was just in much better shape than even anybody could have realized.
I guess.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with athletes today. I mean, their body type and the exercises that they
Yeah.
do, the food that they eat, and all that is all part of the whole process, to develop an athlete. So you don't lose those skills though,
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. It was based on what little bit I saw of the highlights.
Mhm.
There was a lot of people showed up for this event.
I guess.
They had, the grandstands were full. Pretty much every grandstand I saw that they showed, it was packed full of people.
Nice.
And if you've ever been to, if you go to a football game,
Mhm.
you're used to how some people dress up. If
Mhm.
you've ever been to an Oakland Raiders game, you know how over the top some of those guys get, some of
Yeah.
those fans get. There was some of that going on here. I mean, as far as
Nice.
people dressing up to show their support of the European team, some of the people garbed in red, white, and blue, and Uncle Sam hats and
Oh yeah.
crazy stuff going. I mean, it was cool to see because it's just, hey, they're passionate, I guess, and
Yeah.
so it was pretty neat. It's nice to see. I like team events because you get that camaraderie going.
Mhm.
And like we talked about, just a couple of weeks ago here, that the U.S. for some reason always plays better by themselves. I don't know whether they like one another, but maybe not enough to play side by side as a teammate. So the Europeans seem to do better in the team events. But congratulations
Yeah.
to the ladies
Indeed.
of the European ladies who won the Solheim Cup. They drew a total of 90,000 people.
Wow.
20,000 on Saturday, when the weather was just, the wind was blowing. They said like 40 knots. The rain was coming down sideways at times, and you still had 20,000 people out there dressed up like they were practically insane.
Right?
Walking around having a good time. So, and I guess if you're in Scotland, you're probably drinking a lot of scotch. So
Well, I would hope so.
that would warm you up for those windy days.
Yes.
And all that rain, and yeah, that would work for me, right?
Too funny.
So congratulations to Suzanne Pedersen.
Indeed.
Yes, very nice. It's funny because you watch some of these guys, and they'll hit a putt, and when they know it's going in, they start walking towards it.
Yeah.
And they kind of walk it. They say you walk it in.
Yeah.
And she hit the putt, and it wasn't even ready to go in the hole yet, and she was already throwing her putter and ready to jump because she knew it was going in. She's like, "Oh, I won. We just won. I just won this thing. We just won this thing." So it's kind of cool. It's like, boy, it would have sucked if it hit some,
Flipped out or
if it
something,
took some sort of a weird turn and didn't go in. So,
but again, professionals, they know when they do it right,
Mhm.
they already know what the result's going to be
Yeah.
because they've done it so many times in practice.
oh
Right?
yeah, yep. The PGA Tour players voted on who they consider Player of the Year.
Mhm.
So this is voted on by your peers, not by the media or officials or anything like that. It's the people you've been playing with all year. Who did they think had the best year? Now, Brooks Koepka, who won a major, finished in the top 3 or 4 in all the other ones, did not win this. It was actually won by Rory McIlroy. Now, Rory won the Players' Championship in, March? They played that. He won that, and then he won the FedEx Cup. Dumped a nice little, I think he had $25 million plus in prize money this year. Not bad for a year of golf.
No. I'll take it. Yeah. That is excellent.
So congratulations to Rory, who lives lives down the road here, and
Just down the road a piece.
down the road here in Jupiter. He
Mhm.
has a nice house there, along with probably a couple other houses. I mean, maybe now he's got a castle he's looking at. I mean, who knows? I think if I had a castle,
Oh,
I would have to put a bat cave in it.
oh yeah.
I would have to do something
Oh,
crazy like that.
yeah.
That would be kind of neat.
Build it into
Have this-
a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This built-in secret garage where I keep all my really cool cars. Sneak out at night and drive around, and
Yeah, like the Batmobile.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely have to have a bat. If I had $25 million in my bank account, I would have a Batmobile. I want one of those.
Amongst other things.
I want one of those.
Sure.
Man.
Why not? I think
What,
so.
Well, yeah, really. Why not? What the heck? Let's see. Lexi Thompson did not have a good. She's been hot and cold this year. It seems she plays well some events, some other events she hasn't played well, and she did not play very well. She's she's either second or third in the world rankings for women, and that didn't show at the Solheim Cup, and she's one of the people they were kind of counting on. So, be interesting to see if how much that bothers her.
Yeah.
Through the rest of the year. Let's see here. Senior amateur standout Gene Elliott. We all know who he is, don't we? No, I don't either.
Please enlighten us.
He won the Canadian men's senior championship.
That's Gene Elliott. Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Won by 5 shots.
Yeah.
So
all right. Good.
that's pretty good. See,
Yeah,
old guys can play.
Yeah. Hey, smile when you say that.
That's right.
Yes.
You must smile when you say that.
You will do it and you will like it.
Yeah, that's right. This is very true. Don't ask me. Boy, I've gone from Scottish accents to German accents.
Sure, why not?
Boy.
We do them all. Well, we're going to have Rocky and Bullwinkle kind of take us to break.
It works for me.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll be right back. So stick
Does
with us.
Natasha show up in this?
Well, maybe. Who
Boris
knows?
and Natasha?
Stay
That-
tuned.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
You can do a lot in 10 minutes, like finally get.
And welcome back to the Wednesday Night Golf Show, the Hump Day edition.
Hump day.
Hump Day. Hump Day. Hump Day. Our news minute for Wednesday, September the 18th. On the governor's agenda for September 26th is a petition to consider a request by a major developer to allow the creation of an independent community development district in western Martin County. The controversial 2,700-acre Harmony Ranch project, which stretches from Canner Highway to south of Bridge Road along Pratt Whitney and east to the Turnpike, is seeking to form its own governing body to build its own infrastructure and levy taxes of their residents. Zoned for agriculture, it will be required to follow Martin County's comp plan, limiting allowable homes to 1 per 20 acres. That's a big home site. Opponents contend that the community development district would open the door to a more intense development and collected more than 2,000 signatures to oppose the project. Currently, Harmony Ranch filed a lawsuit in Martin County alleging that the county changed the comp plan in 2013 with specific provisions that undermined the ability of the Harmony Ranch owners to develop their property fully under the previous comp plans. Therefore, the county will not allow development. Therefore, if the county will not allow development, it should declare eminent domain and purchase it, according to the court records. The county contended that the DeVosta family knew when they purchased the property in the early 90s that it was zoned for agriculture, limiting its development. This News Minute is brought to you by WSTU 1450, radio audience by Martin County Currents, your alternative source of local news.
That's right. And now back to our regular programming.
So let's see. One home site every 20 acres.
Yeah.
And there's 2,700 acres out there.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of homes.
Yeah.
But,
So, I mean,
so they want to get it rezoned, which I can see that. I mean, Martin County seems to be so anti-growth.
Anti-growth, yeah.
And it's kind of one of those, well, I've got mine. I don't want anybody else to have it.
Correct. I've moved in here now. Nobody else can move in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, if you purchased a lot of property, a lot of land, I mean, how much land? I mean, heck, if we went back and said, well, when you purchased your land, it was zoned agriculture, so it can never be anything else. How many houses would we have ever built in Martin County?
Right.
Not very many.
Right.
Not many at all.
Think of all the flower farms and other activities that gave way to other development.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Part of buying up old orange groves that aren't being used for that anymore was to eventually subdivide it, plat it, and develop it into homes. I mean, people, we got a lot of people moving here. I mean, you look at what's being done in St. Lucie County.
We're
It's
the
insane.
third largest state in the union by population. 800 to 1,000 people a day move into the state.
Wow.
We're plus 800 to 1,000. That's with the folks that move out and the people who pass.
People who pass away. We're still
800 to 1,000.
800 plus to the high, to the better, to the good, or to the increase,
to the growth.
Wow.
So, I mean, they got to go somewhere.
Yeah, they got to go somewhere. And we don't want to let them. We don't want to put them over on the ocean side. They're in condos on the beach. We don't want those either.
Right.
So, I mean, they got to live somewhere. We have a bunch of tent cities.
Right.
Hey, I wouldn't mind a 20-acre home site. I mean, I got nothing against neighbors.
Right.
But
you can take out your ATV and just really.
I got an 85 by 125 foot lot that I don't feel cramped on, but
it's a Port St. Lucie lot. Yeah. It's a standard lot.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine being able to hit a golf ball and not hit anybody's house, no matter which direction you went?
That would be refreshing, especially for me.
Yeah, exactly. I was aiming there. Oh, you were. Congratulations.
Well, guess what happened on this date in 1965? James?
1965. Well, I wasn't even a year old yet.
I Dream of Jeannie.
Boy,
made it,
if you don't know that iconic music,
right?
wow. Barbara Eden,
Yeah,
probably one of the most beautiful women
still to this
ever,
day.
and still to this day. I mean,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was a beautiful woman and
Mhm.
stayed that way. I mean, they filmed a lot of this up in Cocoa.
Mm-hmm. They did.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yep.
I mean,
That's when the Apollo Gemini program
Gemini,
actually was
yeah.
in its heyday.
wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
On this 1965.
1960 on NBC.
Wow, 54 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
And another TV show made its debut also on the state, also on NBC.
Ah,
And let's see if you can guess who this is.
see if I know. Oh, yeah. Let's get smart.
That's right. And loving it. Would you believe?
Would you believe? Missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much.
Oh,
Oh,
man, another great show.
yeah.
Was it who was the star in that?
Don Adams.
Don Adams, yeah.
Mhm. Barbara Feldon.
Yep.
Mhm. And she was 99 and he was 86.
Yep. Yep.
And it was created by Mel Brooks and Buck Henry.
And it was just basically a spoof on the 007
Oh,
movies
exactly.
and stuff, right?
Right. But it was executive producer was Leonard Stern, but it was just that the comedy thinking and the acting at that time was just par excellence. It was
Oh, yeah.
excellent.
Yep.
It was perfect. It was just
Wow.
too funny. I love
Wow.
that. stuff.
Great shows from back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And you still watch them and still laugh. It's
Oh yeah,
you know,
I mean it's timeless humor. It's great
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
They had the cone of silence. Remember the
Yeah.
cone of silence?
Yep.
So he'd be in the chief's office, and he's ready to discuss some sensitive information. He says, "Well, don't you think we need the cone of silence,
silence.
Chief?" And the chief would roll his eyes. Says, "Yeah, I suppose so." So he'd push a button, and his dome would fall over the two of them, and they can't hear each other.
Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, the poor chief was
Oh, my
half the
God.
time he looked like he wanted to just bang his
Ah.
head on a wall.
Oh my God, poor guy. Would you believe?
Wow. Great stuff.
Yes,
Really good stuff.
yes.
And now we're subject to god awful reality shows and
Well, I tell you what, I
Game
think that the
shows and-
greatest humor that we are getting now is just from our news organizations that
you think?
when they pretend to actually be non-biased.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I think the term reporter needs to be retired
Yeah.
because nobody actually reports anything anymore.
no, they're in the tank for whatever their,
It's all
their
editorial.
belief source is. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, one guy that won't be playing golf for a little while is Thornbjorn Olsen. Back in late August, he pled not guilty to sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
being drunk on an aircraft,
Mm-hmm.
and common assault.
Oof, not good.
Apparently, the day he was on a flight and apparently
Uh-oh.
harassed one of the flight attendants.
Ah.
And I guess a lot of people were asleep in first class, and he supposedly or allegedly he molested a woman who was asleep on a flight from Memphis to London following the St. Jude Invitational. He argued with other passengers on the flight. Ian Poulter was on the flight and actually intervened to try to calm him down and get him to just shut up and sit down.
That must have been
It
interesting.
says apparently when Poulter fell asleep, Olsen's inappropriate behavior continued, which included yelling and fighting with crew members, urinating in the aisle,
Oh,
Apparently, police were waiting for him when the plane landed.
I guess so.
So
Yeah.
he was arrested.
Inappropriate behavior.
He
Yes,
was
definitely.
arrested,
Wow.
pled not guilty, maybe because he couldn't remember any of it.
Film at 11.
Yeah. And the PGA, the European PGA Tour has said, until this gets straightened out, we're suspending you.
Adios, muchachos.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're I mean, granted, it's not guilty until proven guilty. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean your employer's gotta put up with you for the time being.
Right.
And technically, you're really not even an employer. You're an independent contractor with certain rights that they can take away from you at any given time with, I guess, conduct detrimental to the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they have done. Wow. Interesting. He could spend some time in jail. I mean, this is not good for him.
No,
it's
not
really
a good look.
Good for him. No,
it's not good for the sport. It's not good for PR. It's not good for anything.
No. Well, 1 month, speaking of the European Tour, 1 month after announcing a 4-point plan, regulation, education, innovation, and a reduction of field sizes to counter slow play in professional golf, the European Tour has decided that they're going to put some of that stuff in play already. This week's BMW Championship, 2 of the 4 will be in play. Because of the tournament's shift from May to September, the field was dropped from 156 to 132. Wow. Which some people have said that's mainly due to the fact that they're getting less and less daylight. They don't have enough daylight left to move 150 some players around the golf course over a day.
Wow.
First 2 days. Interesting. They're also going to track every group with a GPS system, so they can monitor pace of play, figure out exactly where everybody is. They will see exactly who's standing around in one spot, taking too long to figure out what they're going to do, and so on and so on. That's interesting.
Yeah.
The European Tour's chief referee, John Paramore, said, many times the players are unaware that they are out of position. Really? You're playing a golf hole and you're on the tee and it's a par 5 and you don't see anybody else playing that hole and you're unaware that you're not in the right spot. You should be somewhere down the fairway already. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
How did this happen? Right.
Oh boy. So anyway, so that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna monitor traffic with a color-coded system. They're going to show the groups a number in red if they can expect to be monitored by the rules team. If it's green, they're in good shape. Just keep going. You're doing just fine. Do what you've been doing. An amber light means, well, you're not quite out of position, but you goof around too much longer, you will be.
Wow.
And what they're going to do is they're going to have this on every tee. So when they finish a hole and get to the next tee, they will kind of be told, you got here a little slower than you should have, or within the time limit we figured you should have gotten here, and we're going to treat you accordingly.
So this is going to help regulate the pace of play. Is that
their idea is that at every tee, every group will know immediately. Either you're a little behind, or you're okay, or you're we're about ready to slap you.
Stand back. This could get ugly.
Exactly.
Okay.
You see the guy over there with the taser?
Yikes. Oh my God. Yeah. Make sure you go to the porta potty first before the guy with the taser hits you.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Woof.
Yeah. And all the officials are going to have tablets.
Yeah.
So, the information age now. I mean,
oh yeah.
Years ago, how would you'd have to get a hold of somebody by walkie-talkie and tell them, and hope they heard it, or if they didn't. Now it's a tablet, and these guys can see immediately. Okay, these 3 guys are really slow. The grass grew like a half an inch between the group that just played and them.
Yikes.
So, Interesting.
Yeah.
It'll also allow the, when they need a ruling or something on a hole, it'll allow them to get a hold of the referees quicker. They can get a hold of them more quickly, and they can respond. When you think about it, I mean, there's only a certain number of referees. There isn't one for every hole.
Yeah.
And when you need a ruling, if he's 2 holes over doing another ruling, it's going to take him a little longer to get over there. And meantime, you can find somebody else a little quicker, a little more quickly that way. So, hey, I'm all for it. Anything that speeds these guys up. And I hate the idea that a lot of people throw out there. That they say, well, you're playing for a lot of money. How they should be allowed to take their time. And there's a certain amount of enough's enough after a while. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a shot that could mean first place or fifth place, but how long do you want to give them?
Right.
Do you want to give them till the wind completely dies down 20 minutes from now to hit the shot? I mean, there's in any other sport that allows you to do that.
Right.
I mean, a pitcher can't sit there and go, no, I'm not going to throw a strike till I feel really, really good about throwing this pitch. And the batter can't stand out of the batter's box for too long before the umpire finally says, throw a pitch.
Right.
I don't care whether you're in here or not. We're not waiting any longer for you to fix your helmet and your batting gloves and retie your shoes. And
oh my God. Yeah. All the gyrations that they have to go through. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I agree.
I agree. One former Ryder Cup player, Nicholas Colsaerts, said he seriously suggests attaching a buzzer to the body of potentially slow players. You get to the tee.
Yeah.
You got the red flag, which means you're out of. You get a buzzer. If you don't get to the next tee and have it either be yellow or green, you're going to get shot.
All right. Well,
so we're not going to interrupt your shot. We're just going to give you a little buzz on the next hole and let you know.
It's kind of the taser idea that you two were talking about. It's on that same level, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
And our late buddy Mike would have preferred a snub nose 38 that would really get your attention.
That's definitely an attention getter. Yeah. All right.
Speaking of rules officials, we got something going on.
Yeah, we're going to check in with our guys on 15. So stand by.
130 yards now.
Bill's got a very tough lie here.
Looks like we have some sort of sea monster in the water hazard here.
I believe that's a kraken, Bruce.
It looks like he's going to go with the 9-iron. That may not be enough club.
Well, he's definitely going to lose a stroke on this hole.
And welcome back to the final segment of the Wednesday Night Golf Show, the Hump Day edition on WSTU Radio, WSTUTV.com. Well, well, heck, most of us, pretty much all of us shoot 59 when we go out and play golf, right? Problem is we just got more holes left.
Yeah.
But we haven't filled every box on the scorecard.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that number grows higher.
Yes.
Well, Kevin Chappell became the 10th player in PGA Tour history to go under 60. He posted an 11 under par round 59 in the second round of the military tribute at the Greenbrier. Made 9 consecutive birdies at one point during his round. What makes this kind of extraordinary is that Chappell did it in his first tour start since back surgery sidelined him last November. Wow. So here's a guy that missed 9 months of competitive golf.
Yeah.
Goes out in his second competitive round, coming back and shoots a 58.
A 58?
Shoots a 59.
Okay.
He missed a birdie putt on the last hole that would have given him a 58. And here's something a little interesting. Golfers are a superstitious bunch.
Yeah.
Well,
baseball players are. Yeah. A lot of athletes.
Pretty much all athletes are.
Yeah.
I know some guys, and there's some players on tour that, they only use a certain color tee.
Right.
It has to be a white tee. It can't be a plain wooden tee. It can't be green. It can't be blue. It's got to be white, or it has to be a yellow tee, or any number of things.
Right.
Some guys, they put numbers on the golf balls. Some guys, I don't want anything more than a 1 or a 2, because anything higher, it's just too big a number. I don't want big numbers on my golf ball.
Okay.
So, well, Kevin Chappell has a superstition that he contends that every golf ball only has 1 birdie in it. That's all the more birdies that golf ball's ever going to get. So when he makes a birdie with a golf ball, he throws it in a different section of his bag, pulls out a new one. Well, when you go out and you make 11 birdies, you better have a lot of golf balls in your bag. Well, when he made his 11th birdie, he still had 4 holes left.
Oh, my goodness.
And he admits that it threw him off. He had to go and pull out another golf ball that had already had a birdie.
Wow.
So technically, he said in his mind, he was thinking, I'm done. I'm not going to get another birdie.
Wow.
So, like you said, superstitions are kind of a weird thing. And as it played out, he didn't get it. Wow. He was right. His golf balls didn't have a second birdie in them.
That's amazing.
That's pretty weird. But he's got an interesting backstory. After finishing the Mayakoba Golf Classic in Mexico last November, his back issues became so severe, he couldn't even get off the plane when he got back home to Phoenix, Arizona. Just before Thanksgiving, he lost feeling in his right leg and he was unable to walk. Wow. That's when he started talking to doctors and exploring what he might need.
Yeah.
He had a microdiscectomy and a laminectomy on November the 28th.
Yikes.
He says his focus went from golf to rehab. That became his job instead of golf. He says, my family made sacrifices so I could rehab, and so many people around me took time out of their lives and their day-to-day jobs to make sure I was doing my rehab and putting in the time I needed. He did not swing a club for over 4 months. After being cleared to putt and chip, he said his first swings were 12 simple wedge shots that he was allowed to hit by his doctor. He then increased the number of wedges each week. And on May 11th, he played 9 holes for the first time post-surgery.
May 11th, my brother's birthday. How cool is that?
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. It says, to be able to compete at the level I knew I could do it at, I questioned that. He said, but that round of 59 certainly validated his game.
I guess so.
It was let's see. His 59 was the second at the Old White TPC course. Stuart Appleby shot a 59 there on his final round.
The Stuart Appleby.
Appleby.
Yeah, sure.
Shot, he carded a 59 in his final round on the way to winning the 2010 Greenbrier Classic.
Uh-huh.
After opening with a 71, he then closed with rounds of 73 and 72 and finished in a tie for 47th. How'd you like to shoot 59
Nice.
and you finish 47th?
That is just not right.
I mean, here's a guy that played 4 rounds, he didn't even have a round in the 60s. He was either in the 70s or he was 59. Just shows you how this game works.
Right.
It's very weird.
Wow.
But he caught lightning in a bottle for one day, and that helped. That's what he needed. Certainly, it's got to help his confidence. I mean, you got to think about that. Justin Thomas had a bit of a scare. Went to his dermatologist, and they found a small mole in the early stages of melanoma on his left leg. It was removed, and he will be fine, according to his social media broadcast. Said he had a bit of a scare. Luckily, they found it in time, and there should be no problems going forward.
And it was on his leg?
On his left leg, yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So no more shorts on the golf course.
Well, there's going to be a scar. Yeah. Hey, you want to keep the sun off that.
Yeah.
And these guys really like to play their practice rounds in shorts now. I mean, they're allowed to on the tour,
right?
Which is one of the things I found very bizarre at the Honda when I went down there was seeing these guys in some of their chicken legs walking around playing. It was weird, I never thought about Jim Furyk in shorts before, and watching him play a practice run in shorts used to be that's how you could tell the caddies from the players,
right?
Because at the practice range, they're all kind of wandering around. The caddy's not carrying the bag. He's got it set someplace. Yeah. And suddenly, you see this guy walking around with pale legs, and you realize that's Zach Thomas that, has won 2 British Opens. So yeah, he's going to have to be very, very careful about that.
Yes, indeed. All right.
And that wraps it up for us.
It does indeed.
Woohoo.
And we'll let I Dream of Jeannie play us out to the top of the hour. We thank you for listening. And
appreciate it.
Look forward to visiting with you again next week, right here.
Fairways and Greens. We'll see you next week, folks.
All righty. You are listening to WSTU Stewart.
I personally assume the responsibility